Good morning and welcome to Mindset Mondays with DTK. This is episode number 183 in an ongoing series of live broadcasts designed for folk who have already determined and already figured out the hard part. The way to get better at doing what you do is to get better at being who you be. This is the game of, like Michelangelo, when he spoke about sculpture, chipping away everything that isn't you, isn't real, isn't true, and freeing yourself from the stone. All right, so again, not in my home studio. I'm out and about and traveling. We're headed back to Atlanta today, but this is my last day out in sunny California. The sun is just beginning to rise over in the east. So if you'll take a moment and let me know where you're connected in from this morning. Um, I am sorting out the background on this. There we go. All right, getting this morning rolling. I'm so used to doing this remote. I don't know how I'm going to do this when I'm back in my studio come next Monday. Um, yeah, interesting conversation this week. So I spent the last week in with my mastermind out in California, and conversation this week turned to power. And one of the folks we played with is a woman named Kasia Urbaniak. And I say played with because our coach gave us her book. And her book is called Unbound. It just came out this year, The Ultimate Guide to Owning Your Power and Mastering How to Use It. Now, Kasia Urbaniak is a fascinating human being. She was at one time the highest paid dominatrix in New York City. At which point she used the money she was earning from that to spend a number of years being trained as a Taoist nun. So I'm looking forward to reading more about her and reading the rest of the book. That conversation that got me started, and the quote that we're playing with today is, she frames power, as you might expect, in a remarkably curious way. um, well, let me bring up the quote. This will help quite a bit. Um, When she starts the quote, the preceding line is, power isn't a mood, an outfit, a moment, or a pose. Power is the ability to access your deepest desires, express them fully to others, and use them to influence other people and the world at large. And fascinated about the way that she plays with power. Because one of the things she dives deeply into is the idea that power is really where attention goes in any conversation, in any exchange, in any interaction. Power is nothing more than the dance back and forth between attention. And where one's attention goes, one's power is. And when you have the other person's rapt, undivided attention, you have power. And when it comes to power with or power over or power between folk, it's how does that attention move? And I'm struck by that because you've heard in conversations with me before, so much of the conversation is about the things that I hold as currency: time, effort, energy, and attention. Attention. And our attention can be incredibly powerful. And then we had this conversation about Kasia Urbaniak, who holds power as attention, or attention as power. Power is the ability to access your deepest desires. And again, it goes even deeper than that. So it's fascinating. So I'm curious what comes up for you as we play with that idea of power being attention, and where your attention goes, so shifts your power. And that's even before we play with that idea of power is the ability to express your deepest desires, express them fully to others, and use them to influence other people in the world at large. Right? This where one's attention goes can certainly channel one's power, but where one's attention goes can also sap one's power. Be careful where we place our attention. It's always be careful where we expend our attention. Be careful where our power gets consumed. And absolutely, we can use our power well, or we can use our power badly. Right? We can expend our attention in a way that serves in a positive way. We can expend it in a way that is merely draining and adds nothing to our world. And I'm fascinated by this idea of where is it that our power or our attention is going unconsciously. I go back to this conversation a number of times. I'm noticing more and more people who are taking a break from news. I'm still on my news blackout that I've been on since April, um, and as important things have gone on, people fill me in. So I'm not in a coma about it. I'm choosing not to put my attention, not to burn my power on news media. I'm choosing to be intentional about where my energy goes, where my attention goes, and how it's consumed. And what has become an infotainment cesspool rather than an informative resource is not a good use of my power. It's not a good use of my attention. And so I'm really attentive to, yes, we pay attention where our power goes, because that can also be incredibly draining. Also, expressing the deepest desire sometimes makes me feel uncomfortable and vulnerable. That's such a fascinating piece to drop, because there's also a lot of conversation this last week in the mastermind about safety and what it takes to create a safe space, a psychologically safe space. And our mastermind was done in a hybrid format. We're part, about 14 of us were together in San Diego, and the rest were all strewn across the planet in their homes, in their home countries, virtually. And trying to go deep and go in to do some intense work while we have people in different formats, it was fascinating to work on creating a psychologically safe space and group of folks who know each other quite well, even in its distributed environment. And that idea of expressing things that are deep and core, the design of this mastermind was to be exactly that safe space, because not all, many of us lack safe spaces in abundance. Um, and so creating spaces where those our deepest feelings can be expressed to others and become part of the conversation, and that can be shared, that is an incredibly powerful avenue, because creating that space where we can access our deepest desires, we can express them fully to others, and we can use them to influence the world at large. That, for me, is where impact comes from. If we are tapping into less than our power, if our attention is being squandered, then we are compromising our ability to impact other people and impact the world at large. And as we begin to, with fits and starts, come out of lockdown, again, now is the time to find what our impact is. Lynn's saying, as a young leader, what I saw was that power corrupts. It took years to see that power is a positive force of change. It's amazing, as we see examples as we're growing and we're coming through our career, of people using power as power over, right? And as opposed to power to accomplish something, but power over others. That can be corrupting. It can create a model of power for us that is negative. And one of the things I love about Kasia Urbaniak's book is exactly that she begins to speak to what the exchange of power actually looks like. And it's more than just looking at it through the lens of attention. power is often an exchange, and most powerful when it's a willing exchange of energies for attention. So I'm curious, as we look through going into this coming week, what will you take with you from this? Right? Power is the ability to access your deepest desires, express them fully to others, and use them to influence other people and the world at large. How will you allow that awareness, that idea, to shape your week? And where will you be placing your attention this week? Where will you be choosing to invest and expend your power? And I'm curious, what I'd love is for you to either join me at facebook.com/group/mindset Mondays, or private message me, or reply to the email you get on Mondays and Thursdays about Mindset Mondays, and share how power will shift for you and how your appreciation or understanding of power will change for you this week. Where will you bring your attention? Thanks for joining today, whether it was on Facebook, LinkedIn, or YouTube. And I look forward to seeing you next week and hearing more of what surfaces for you. Be well.